Welcome to Your Next Stop. This is Juliette Hahn. I am a wife, mom, virtual coach, public speaker, and crazy obsessed dog lover. I am so honored to be able to take you into the life of someone that has followed a passion. Every week, I hope you are as inspired as I am. Welcome to Your Next Stop. Hey guys, it's Juliette Hahn with the Love What You Do series. I am so excited for my next guest. There's so many reasons why I'm excited. First, it was my first friend in Connecticut, and I've literally watched this woman follow her passion and grow it, and it's just been so amazing. So welcome, Gaelle Dudley. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
And I told you that when I came up with this Love What You Do series, you were one of the people that came to mind because I have been just following your journey and it has been so freaking fun. I mean, so fun, especially because I knew you when you were in your previous job, which we're going to get all to. But so first, I would love you to share your quote.
Oh,
if you could do that.
So my quote for you is never cease to dream.
Oh, I love that. Okay. That's so perfect. So perfect for what this series is about. And mine is never give up on the things that make you smile.
I love that. I love that. That's so important. And honestly, that goes hand in hand.
It totally goes hand in hand. And okay, so we're going to go into, because I was going to kind of give a little bit of details what you do, but I just want the listeners to just get ready because they're going to be blown away of all the stuff that you've created. All right, Gaelle. So can you basically say what your company is now? And then I want you to go back to where you grew up and kind of your story that you share often. But I can't wait for my listeners to hear this because you did exactly what this series is about. So go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's an honor to be here. I love you to pieces and you know that, you and your amazing family. So
ditto.
I mean, honestly, the bottom line is I followed my heart. So I currently am the creative director and founder of GLDESIGN, which is my interior design firm based out of Connecticut. And we have grown over the past 4 years or so into a team now of 5 women. And it started as me and only one other person. And we truly design authentic coastal spaces for our clients throughout Fairfield County, and now have dabbled into e-design and are starting to work on Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, California, and Florida. And we have a project in Atlanta as well. So we are really excited about where it's going at the company. And I've really based a lot of my inspiration on where I live currently, but also where I grew up.
Which I love. And you know what? So guys, just picture, you have that friend that their house always looks perfect. And Gaelle always had, everything was white, but she always had amazing pieces that were the splash of color. And I always would come in and be like, oh my God, the boxers and the Hans would destroy this in a second. But you have 2 kids, 2 dogs, and a husband as well. But she just knows you just know how to put things together that is your eye is so amazing. So can you tell us where you started, what your job was? You grew up in Paris, correct? So you were
born and raised in France, not always in Paris, but in France. I dabbled a little bit I think my dad had a job in Canada for a while. So we were also in Toronto. So traveled all around the world my entire life. Basically, I always joke that I was born in an airplane because that's, sort of the extent of how much we traveled. Switched schools a lot. There was not really an immense amount of stability, which I was okay with. So born and raised in France. I'm bilingual. I'm also bicultural. So I have 2 passports. So I'm very grateful for that, for that honor.
Yes.
And grew up in Paris mostly, but summered in Cannes, which is in the south of France, and have always been, playing in the ocean. We always traveled to islands and places where it was on the ocean, on the Med Sea, or we went to Phuket in Thailand. So we've sort of traveled all around, and always these destinations that were near the water. And I think that just based on that, I was truly inspired to go out on my own and design spaces that were always based in a coastal feel. So I always say to, future projects, people always ask me like, well, do I need to live at the beach in order to hire you as a designer? Not at all. It's about a lifestyle. It's about a feeling. It's, yes, I do work with white slipcovers, and I have 2 ginormous dogs. So,
and it's still it fascinates me that you could keep those clean. I don't understand.
I feel like I also grew up in a household that like my mother was always cleaning. So I think that just was like stuck in me. And so I do tend to vacuum every day, but I have to tell you, like, I believe in slipcovers. I believe in functional and washable fabrics, perennial.
Yes, you do.
I mean, it's sandy toes, sandy feet, but I don't design constricted spaces. There's no upholstered goods. Everything is definitely approachable, even from a price point of view. You're not buying a $20,000 couch from us. You're getting, a $2,500 couch, which will work for your entire family. So,
and I love that what you said there, because your stuff is so homey. Like, it's not like you go into, like, you also have a friend, like we all have friends that you go into your house and you're like, oh my gosh, I am like, I cannot drop anything. Yours is so livable and so comfortable and just so happy and fresh. Like, I feel like those are the words that anytime I see your stuff, but even anytime I ever went into your house in Connecticut, like I would always feel like happy and fresh. Like, it's just a really comfortable space. So I love that you said that, because that is like 100%.
Thank you. That means a lot. That means a lot.
Well, and so, okay, I want you to say, because we literally, our boys, our oldest, are around the same age. And Gaelle came up to me. It was right when we moved from the city. And she was like, did you move from the city? And she was so stylish that I was like, oh, yes, I did. And I was everyone, my listeners know I'm not very stylish, but I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I did just move from the city. And we became fast friends. And so where were you? Yeah, I mean, totally. Our kids became friends. Our families became friends. Like, we were just like in it. I still have like videos of like the sledding hill of like you videoing when like my head literally went up Dan's butt, and then the dog like jumped on us.
You're like a child. You're kind of like a child too. So, you brought that out of me. Like you were like, come on, girl, get in your ski gear. We're going to go sledding with no boots on. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
that's you.
Totally.
You brought the best out of me, that crazy, crazy town.
Yes. Well, I love that, because that means a lot to me. So thank you. So, but tell us where you were. I mean, we did have so much fun. So much fun. Tell us though where you were working, but and then where you decided, you know what, I need to pivot. Because I remember like your potted plants and stuff like that. Like, so there was like a little bit of a journey there that you all of a sudden like literally drove to what you're doing now. But so what was your back history, if you could tell us that?
Sure. Like I said, I was raised in France, and then I went to college. I came to America in 97, and I went to school there. And then right out of college, I went and worked in the city for a while, and really sort of fell into what I wanted to do. I didn't necessarily seek it out. My dad was a CEO and a marketer, so I sort of followed in his footsteps a little bit in the marketing field. That led to me being hired by a hospitality company. From there, I worked there for over 10 years and really opened up my horizon on, okay, so marketing affects everything we do. And when you're buying, when you're booking a hotel, you're looking at pictures of what the hotel looks like on the website. At the time, we were still even in catalogs and magazines and all of that. So how do we build a website to make it look really appealing? How do we design a room to make it look really fresh and a vacation away from home, but still yet very inviting? Things like that. And then my career sort of shifted from 100% marketing to design. And from there, I worked for 3 really incredible brands. I worked for the W Hotels, Westin, and St. Regis, and I traveled the world and set up the residences for the people who actually lived in the hotel. It was usually the top floors, and I set those up, and I worked with the brand teams to make those, look and feel like the brand, but also the design team on what elements need to go in here. And it sort of just opened my entire eyes and path to, hey, I kind of love this design thing, My mom
Right.
was, always, and my parents were always very much into art and culture and design, interior design, always, purchased incredible furniture from European designers, etc. And so I just kind of had a knack for it. I think you either have it or you don't. I sort of fell into it.
Yes, and that's
Truly.
very true. You either have it or you don't.
Truly. So we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So it happened to be a strength. And
right.
And then from there, so I worked in that industry and it grew really quickly. And then I was faced with a pretty major health scare when I was 40. And I, instead of coming back to work, I tried, I had both my kids in the process. And then instead of coming back to work after, fighting cancer, I decided to go out on my own. And then I worked for a local builder for a while. And then I just decided, well, I can do this thing. And it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
And, the first year,
I love it.
Excited when you make, $25 and you realize that you're actually losing more than you're making.
Right.
Then the second year it gets a little better, but it's really not till the third year that you're rocking and rolling and you're growing your confidence and you're choosing your clients. You're not saying yes to every project. And I grew my niche of coastal design. And I think that's worked really well for me because it doesn't feel like work.
Right, right. Now, do you think that the health scare, like, were you feeling a little antsy in your job where you were, or do you think it was the health scare that really pivoted you? You were like, oh my gosh, I need to stop and really figure it out. Or were you feeling antsy, like what you were doing?
That's a good question. I don't really sit well in one spot for long, but I loved my boss. I loved the company at the time. The company was being bought by another hotel company. So it was kind of one of those times where I've been here a long time. It's probably smart for me to get packaged out and just decide what I want to do. I knew after my surgery that the last place I wanted to be was behind a desk for the rest of my life.
Right. And I remember you saying those words. I remember you specifically saying those words. And I was like, that's really powerful. It's powerful that you figured that out. I mean, unfortunately, it came with the health scare. Thank goodness that you were able to overcome that. But that is like, those were things that you were like, I know what I don't want to do. And I think that's really important to find that. Like, I know what I don't want to do. I don't know exactly where I want to go with it, but I know what I don't want to do. And then you did have where you like went back and thought, these are the things that I loved. And that's what you created.
Yeah. And I knew that I didn't want to sit behind a desk. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that at all. Of course. For me, I'm a field person. I like to meet people. And I did feel like I was, I needed to get myself more uncomfortable in my field, in my sort of in my passion. And so I just pushed myself out of the comfort zone and then spent some time with my family. And then I just sort of opened my firm, and I didn't go to school for design. I'm definitely self-taught. I think that, that's something else where it's not for everyone to do it that way. I think I'm a little bit of a fly by the seat of your pants person, which works really well for me. Like, when I hire someone, there's no training program. It's like, here's the fire, learn to swim.
Right.
Right.
But that's so important. And that's what I want like women to hear what Gaelle just said. She didn't go to school for it. So like, don't think just because you're not trained in it, that it's not something that you can create a passion or a career out of it. Right. Because Gaelle had a passion for something and she was like, I'm going to figure it out. Same with me. I didn't go to school for podcasting. I mean, I guess I was a communications major, so maybe that's not completely accurate, but that's not what I first, when I first got into the business world, it's not what I decided that I wanted to do. I didn't know how to start a podcast, but I was like, I love it. It's fascinating. And I'm very much like you, where I don't like to be bored. Like, that's like my biggest fear. And I like to go and I like to figure things out and I like to create things. And I like, that's why we got along so well. Cause we both kind of had that like mover and shaker, like, let's go do something fun. Like, we didn't have plans, but it was like, let's just meet and do that. And I think that that's not for everyone, but I think some people need to take a little bit of that and put it into their own life, because just being stuck and not doing anything because you're scared is not a way to live. No.
And, it's funny. I I process things very differently than most. I think there's two kinds of people, right? Those who need to take some time to like figure out what they want to do and process and that's a real good thing. I should probably be less impulsive and maybe sometimes think before I proceed with something. And that even comes down to like, signing up my son for like a sport. Like, oh, maybe I want to just like make sure he's going to stick to this before I spend $600 or probably more than that at this, But and then there's the other kind of person who's like me, which is pretty impulsive and would rather try it and fail than
that's me.
Than not do it. And because it would literally bother me. And I think that this was, and I'm very lucky to be, married to somebody who could afford, the luxury of having his wife, try this, because not everybody is in that situation. My husband is currently unemployed now due to the lovely pandemic. And so we're dealing with, again, a family on one income. And it's great for me because it feels like I'm giving back, because a lot of that capital came from him originally. And I think one of the questions I get asked a lot as a small business owner is like, how did you get started? Like, how did you make money? How, billing is one of the most know your worth and don't doubt yourself. People will at every opportunity try to nickel and dime your talent and your worth. Stick to your guns. That would be my number one sort of rule. And I think the second one would be, surround yourself with positive people who pick you up. And whether that be your husband, your dog, your friends, your children, you will succeed if you have that support network, because it's super important. And it just starts slow. Decorate from a design perspective, design something in your house first, like a room, and put it up on Instagram. And someone might all of a sudden, tag a couple of vendors, and next thing you know, like that vendor will share your Instagram room, and you'll be like, oh my God, this is my living room. I only put a jar on the shelf. But
Right.
That jar might be really interesting to someone, how you did it, because we are all unique individuals. So, then next thing you know, your living room expands to your friend's living room, who's not paying you, but giving you the exposure and the word of mouth. So you start to grow slowly like that. And that's kind of
I love that.
It started a little bit with me. It's just like, all right, I want to try this. And it doesn't need to be like, graduate school and all of that. Like I couldn't afford any of that. So, we just sort of put everything in one basket and move forward.
Which I love, which is scary. I mean, that's why some people don't do it, but I love that. Can you share with us, because your Instagram is fun. I actually have so many friends. It's so funny. They're like, oh my God, I love your friend Gaelle. Did we meet her when you were in Connecticut? I'm like, you did, but she wasn't doing this. And they're like, oh wait, I do remember her. And so it's like really fun for me to like, well, it's fun for me to like, share with them that like, this is what she's doing. And it's so exciting. So can you share, like, tell us what your Instagram is and your website, so people can go. And you have just such great style, not just your houses and your landscape and the way you put flowers and color. That's one of my favorite things about you, how you always have fun color. Like your stuff is fun. It's fun.
Thank you.
And like I loved what you did in your own home, your workout space. How you can you share that story? How you found this, like, and I'm not going to say it correctly, but I was obsessed with it, so I like followed you through that whole thing because I was like, oh my God, I love this. Share how you like where. Gym? Yes, your garage gym and how you did the stairs, but how you found that artist.
Yeah.
Was like a random thing, right? And you were like, can you just come and do my garage? So share that story with us.
So actually that was a little bit different. So it was the pandemic, obviously it still is. And I work out literally 6 days a week. It's just who I am. I need it mentally. And I did not go back to the gym. Although I still support my gyms. I did not go back to the gym just from a safety perspective. My mom was living with us at the time, so I had to be super, super careful. So I outfitted one of the bays of my garage. We live a little bit in an older house, so it's not like our cars fit in the garage anyway. So I was like, well, we're gonna do something here. So, I Amazoned a bunch of stuff and outfit my garage. It was I wanted it to be a little rough, around the edges. I'm not like I always say it's all grit, no grace.
Right. I love that.
Working out. I know you can relate to that because you
totally. Yes, right. And I have to do the same. I have to work out at least 5 times, but I also
Yeah.
I walk my dogs every day 3 miles. So I work out and then walk the dogs 3 miles, and I do that at least 5 days a week. And if
amazing.
I don't, but if I don't, I'm like an insane person. Like Dan will be like, "Oh, I think you need to go take a walk." He did that to me this morning. He's like, "Oh, that's a lot of energy. How about you go take a walk?" So so you have
I used to walk my dog until we got a Newfoundland. Now it's 300 pounds of dog. So between both dogs. So now Alec, that's my husband's job, is to walk the dog.
Right.
So I'll work out when he's walking the dogs. But anyway, so when you grow your Instagram presence, what's beautiful about it is that lots of artists actually reach out to you. For 2 reasons: exposure, and also they feel that they would be a good fit with your brand and your aesthetic. And the woman who, painted my stairs, we had some friends in common, and she reached out to me. It was like, I would just love to help out with your stairs project, because I think I had said something like, oh, I really am thinking of doing something like this and whatever. And she's like, I'll do it. And I'm like, that's amazing. Her name is Gaelle. She is also a working mom, and a wonderful. Yeah, she's an entrepreneur and an artist. And I was good friends with Jen Scully, who was another artist that I'm sure you guys have seen all throughout my Instagram with stencils, and she did the surf shed.
Yeah.
And so Curry, was like, hey, I think I could do this for you. Tell me what colors you think, and I'm just going to rock and roll from there. And it was a great collab, and it was a lot of fun. But I think that's one of the things with Instagram is I'm not a big fan of the word influencer. I think that we are all influencers. I don't think that it's a title. It's a title that one deserves over another. I think that, my children influence me every day, and they're, 14 and 12, and they don't have a big Instagram following. But I hope, I don't know, maybe they do. Maybe a secret account. No. Right. But, I think that the beauty of having a larger following now is just that people come out of the woodwork and they're like, hey, look at me. What do you think of this? Or, through the pandemic, I was giving free room refreshes, like these makeovers, and I was just loving it. It connected me to all these people. And I was like, well, what else am I going to do sitting on my couch? And this was during the lockdown, where literally we thought the air was poison. I was like, I can't walk outside. So Instagram was like my life, and I was just doing these free rooms, and it was like 20 a day. It was insane. And that, still today, people reach out and were like, look at what I did when you told me what to do, last, June or even May.
That's like, so cool.
You're amazing. That's amazing. I love that you can have an impact on people. But what the irony is that so much of my community has an impact on me. So I encourage everyone to reach out. And if you're doing something, share it with me, and I'll share it. And, we'll all share each other's strengths.
Which I love. So tell us what your Instagram, so people can go check it out, because it is a very cool, as I said, I'm obsessed with color. So it was really fun to watch.
So it's at GLDESIGN Home. So it's GLDesignhome.com.
Yes.
And then my website is just GLDesignhome.com.
And and that is GLDESIGN.com, right? Did I spell that right?
GLDESIGN.com.
My dyslexic comes in there and I'm like, oh, wait, did I just misspell design?
It's all good, girl. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So Gaelle, again, can you tell us, because what magazines you've also been featured, early on, you were featured in some fun magazines. I remember being just so, I'm like, oh, Dan, look, it's Gaelle. Look what she's doing. I'm so just happy and proud of you. I have to say that. And I think I have reached out to you and said that to you. I'm just so proud of what you are doing and what you're creating, and design is so, it makes people happy. Again, it makes people happy. It makes people feel good. So give us a little bit of do a little bragging about what publications you've been featured in.
It's not me, but I will.
I know it's not. I know it's not.
I'm terrible at this, so I don't really know, but I can tell you, off the top of my head, we made the Modern Farmhouse cover in 2019 or 2020. No, 2019. That was a huge
19,
one.
yeah, I think so.
You make the cover, so that's exciting. That was a home actually in Darien, your old hometown.
Yes. And your
So
old hometown,
that
right?
was exciting. So Modern Farmhouse. We've also been featured in HGTV magazine, in Better Homes and Gardens, New England Home, East Coast Living. There's been a couple. It's very exciting. Cottages and Gardens. It's just been like amazing to me. And every time there's a feature, and I probably don't even know most of them because they don't necessarily tell you when they're featuring
Right.
you. So it's a little bit odd. People will be like, "Oh my God, I saw your room," and blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay."
right.
But it's really special to be featured. It's never been something, and I know that, listen, there's a lot of designers out there, and there's some that I feel like if I met them, it would be like meeting like Brad Pitt. Like, I don't know why I said
Right.
Brad Pitt, because actually I don't really, now, so let me find someone else. Who's the guy from Thor? I really like him. It'd be
Oh,
like,
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
it'd be like
Chris.
a googly-eyed meeting a celebrity. There's a couple of
Yes.
designers out in the West that I'd be like, I don't know what to tell you because you're so amazingly talented. I'm a total
Right.
design
Right.
dork. But anyways, I think,
But I love that about you. It's humbling. It's humbling.
I've never been one to. I love talking on Instagram and sharing all my funny life and moments and stories and all of that stuff. But I've never been one to be put together enough, I think, to attend like every single media event and industry event and trade show. And because at the end of the day, I think, we've evolved as a community. And I think the pandemic has taught us that there's no reason to be elitist. We're all the same.
Yep.
And we all start with a dream. And, it's about just pursuing it. And every obstacle that is thrown at you makes you stronger and better. And I think that's very cliche to say that, but I can't stress enough that it is
It's
just
true,
so
though.
true.
It's so true.
So
It really,
true.
it
Like,
really, really is. It really is.
yeah, I see you and everything that you've dealt with your life as well, and it's just inspired me. I think, like going back to, you have to surround yourself with inspiring and positive people because there's a lot of nasties out there. There's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of people who will continually try to put you down
And be jealous of your success and be jealous of your success, because when you all of a sudden start doing better, that is true. Like, you'll have the people that will give you the snarky remarks and you're like, well, that's not really nice. And that's what I always make a point of when I see a woman or even a man, but usually women doing something that I think is awesome or I like what they're wearing. Like, I always make a point of going out of my way and saying it because it's so important for people to hear. Like, you inspire me. I love your stuff. Like, I literally, and I'm not one that watches social media. I had another guest on, this girl, Gina Lee. And it's funny because I said to her the same thing. Like, I usually don't watch it, but I watch yours. I've seen how much better you've gotten because in the beginning, I mean, you were like, oh my God, I'm so awkward. This is so crazy. But I was like, but you're still doing it and you're still showing up because you have something to share with people.
Yeah.
You know that you can help people in a way. And I loved that you took your ego out of it. You're like, okay, guys. And it was very cool to like watch you evolve on social media. It was so cool.
Well, I think that my husband losing his job was also a big driver for me. I realized, I think originally when I started GLDESIGN, I wanted to stay small. I wanted to be me and maybe one other person and take on like 3 projects a year. I mean, we currently have 9 active projects with 13 in the wings. Like, I think
Wow.
it's going to be a really crazy year, and that's not counting eDesign. So I think that it was a big driver for me. I had a client also who is an influencer, who she's, wonderful. And she really pushed me to get out of my comfort zone and taught me all the tricks of social media and was like, Gaelle, you got to get out there. You got to do this. You got to share that. People want to hear it. I'm like, they don't want to know what I'm wearing or they don't want to
They do.
know about this. And like, she's like, they do. So let's try it. And she's like, just try it. So it's not just, I also choose my clients. Like, they choose me, but I choose them. And it's, I have to say, I've been very blessed with incredible clients, especially in the past couple of years. And that's sort of, growing pains when you start out with anything,
Yeah.
You say yes to everything, and all of a sudden you get more selective because you realize there's a lot of toxic things out there that can put damper on your passion. And that's
totally,
that's not fun.
you don't want to do that. And it's funny because when you said that, so I do a lot of rooms in Clubhouse. It's like that new audio app. And I'm teaching people about podcasting and picking people to interview. And the one thing that after the first week, I was like, okay, I know I have high energy, and not that there's anything wrong with people that have low energy. Not everyone's going to match my energy. I'm very aware of that. Very aware of that. But I need to have some energy, because there was a couple people that asked, like, can I go on your show? And they had pretty cool stories, but their energy was so low that I knew it wasn't going to be a good interview for me. I knew I wouldn't be able to. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be picky, and I can be picky. And I think it's important, and to start out picky, and not in a bad way, but just know yourself and know what your comfort zone and what you can offer to people is so important. Sure. So I love that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Just know your brand. I think, I can't be creative if someone asks me to design a room that's not within my aesthetic. I think it's okay to say, I'm so sorry, I don't think that's going to be a great fit, but I also know 2 or 3 other designers that may be able to help you that would seem a better fit for you. And I think a lot of clients are appreciative of that. I don't know that a lot of designers do that. But in my, group of women here, we do trade clients if it's not a good fit. I mean, by trade, it's like a weird thing to say, but we refer other people.
Refer each other. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. You got to get rid of the ego, and, you just, like I said, never cease to dream.
I love that, Gaelle. Gaelle, I just have to say, thank you again for coming on my show. As I told you, when I came up with this Love What You Do series, you were one of the women that came into my head. I think I even texted you in the beginning, and I was like, I know you're really busy. Just tell me a day that you can do it. So I loved that you've been flexible. And guys, if you like what you hear, please share, rate, and review this podcast. Go over and check Gaelle out on her social medias. I'm telling you, you will be very, very inspired. Stay tuned to next week, another woman that is following her passion or hobby and making it into a career. Bye, guys. And thank you, Gaelle, so much for taking the time. I hope you liked this episode of Your Next Stop. Please subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and join in each week.